This book has a detective wizard, dark magic, gangsters, all sorts of heinous crimes going on, both magical and non-magical, and it's laced with a certain kind of masculine humor. And yet it still wasn't enough. Before I get into my book review on Stormfront by Jim Butcher, which is book one in the Dresden Files, don't forget to like and subscribe and also leave a comment and consider becoming a Patreon. There's early access to videos and I will also be starting a book club there. Link is in the description. So Stormfront by Jim Butcher is book one in the Dresden Files, which is at this point like 19 books long or something like that. And I think it will be 25 books. This is actually quite highly rated in the fantasy community. And even just the mix of fantasy and murder mystery, detective noir really appealed to me. Like the concept of it was really cool to me. But I gave this 2.5 stars. It is an average book, and I do have a few problems with it. My biggest essentially is I'm literally, for me, the stock of murder mystery and thrillers at the moment in just this part of my life is in the negatives. It is down quite a bit. I used to love them when I was a teenager. I absolutely just devoured those types of books. But recently, just nothing seems to be hitting. Besides the Millennium trilogy, I did a book review on The Girl Who Played with Fire because I read that last year. And that's like a murder mystery thriller type of series. First read it when I was a teenager. And so it was part of my rereading as a adult series that I have where I reread books that I read as a kid, Maze Runner, Harry Potter, the usuals, right? And I loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. And I knew that was a different type of special book because it was one of the best books I've ever read. And it's held up. But outside of the Millennium trilogy, I'm really, really don't care for like murder mysteries at all. Like I care for it in theory, but in practice, it's a completely different story. So what is Stormfront about? This is a first person narrated story, and we are following Harry Dresdan, who is a wizard. And this is an urban fantasy, by the way. This is an urban fantasy murder mystery, detective noir, and Q subgenres, right? And Dresden, he's a wizard and he's openly practicing as a private investigator. And he is trying to make ends meet. He's broke. He doesn't really have work coming his way, but he kind of acts as a consultant for Chicago PD. He has a friend there, and I forgot her name, but she's a good character. And he sometimes, consults on cases, especially he consults on the magical cases that I guess the Muggles, listen, Harry Potter's forever. That the Muggles just can't solve, right? And I won't lie, the mysteries in this book were actually pretty decent. It was actually nicely done. I do appreciate the way Jim Butcher actually constructed the mystery and how everything tied up. I actually thought it was pretty cool. I do like some of the concepts he throws out there, the White Council in particular, which really is an organization that is kind of like judge, jury, and executioner for supernatural beings, which I thought was cool. Again, the magic in this, there was the wizard kind with spells and potions. It feels grown up. Like I know people talk about, people compare it to Harry Potter, like just because it's Harry Potter and there's spells and there's potions and whatnot. This doesn't feel magical at all. I thought some of the spells, like when I was reading the spells, I kind of felt a bit kind of detached from it. It didn't feel magical at all. And I think if you're gonna do a magic system like that with spells and he has a staff and he draws energy from himself, maybe like a supernatural event, it needs to like slap a different way, and it didn't really in this book. And so when I was kind of just reading like him doing spells and all that, I don't know, it felt weird for some reason. I can't really like, and it's strange. Maybe it's because of the writing, maybe I don't know, but I didn't connect with that part of it. There's also the narrator, and we're in what's his name, Harry Dresden. I keep wanting to call him Nick Dresden for some reason. We're in Harry Dresden's head all the time, and his thoughts, and it's okay. It's serviceable for this type of story. The book's only like 310 pages long, not even that, 307. Like for this kind of sort of laid back genre blending type of book, it's okay. But I didn't really connect that well with Harry Dresden anyway. I liked him. It's not like he was unbearable. Like it wasn't unbearable to be in his head, but I didn't I didn't connect with him. And here's the thing, I did is decent. I say all this to say it's decent, but I don't think I'll be continuing on with this series, which is a shame because I really do like the spine and just the I see it as like if you look behind me, my bookshelf, I'm all about series and the good looking spines and book covers. So it is what it is. Like I do like that. I appreciate the aesthetic nature of books. But I don't think I'll be continuing with this. I won't be giving this away or selling it because there is still a small chance that I will continue with it in years to come. Maybe in 20 years I might want, you know, a murder mystery fantasy blend, and that's my flavor of the month in how many years time. And then I've got the Dresden Files if that ever comes around. But for now there's not enough here for me to actually want to continue on and buy the second book, which is Full Moon. And that's quite saying, and it's saying something because as well, the Dresden or the paperback versions, the Dresden File paperback books are very cheap. Like they are widely available, extremely cheap. You can get them secondhand for like £3, and so it's not that much money at all. And yet, I still don't want to continue with it. I'm all about a bargain. I love a bargain. You guys know, if you guys watch my videos long enough, I buy a lot of my book, well, most of my books secondhand. Um, but yeah, it was very strange that I just don't want to continue on with this, even though it's cheap and even though it's a decent enough story. So yeah, it's a strange one. Didn't really connect with this. And I'm glad I read it because I won't lie, this was one of those books I was really anticipating reading just because I've watched all the booktubers talk about it, and most of them seem to like it, and some of them have it in their top 10, top 20, top 30 fantasy series of all time. They really, really like the growth and Dresden himself. And I can tell from this book and from reading Dresden is that reading Dresden reading from Harry Dresden's perspective that there is a lot there to uncover. Like Jim Butcher does a good job of sort of dropping some breadcrumbs here and there about a potential dark past. Obviously him potentially going up against and being um under the watchful eye of the White Council. No, there is legs with this. I will say that, and I can see how some of the characters, well, the main characters we get here, how they would play a role in books to come. But it's just not for me. It's just not for me. I won't be participating in it, to be honest with you. But yeah, this is a pretty cool story, I guess. The murder mystery aspects were okay. The players involved were pretty cool. Um, but yeah, I haven't even said what it was about. Really, the plot's pretty simple. Like I said, he is a consultant for Chicago PD. and he gets called by his friend who is on this crime scene, and there are a man and a woman who've had sex and they've had their hearts ripped out from the chest. It's exploded and it's clearly magical. And so Dresden is called in, he's working on it. He also has a private client who is, inquiring about the whereabouts of her husband. And so Harry's balancing these two cases and they actually converge. And we get to meet vampires. I thought that was actually the best part of this book was the vampire scene. I thought that was really, really, really cool. Um, Again, it just add in. You're gonna get that with fancy murder mysteries. Add in those creatures. We do, run through quite a few creatures. Here's the thing, and this reminded me. I'm glad I said this. When I said that I didn't really connect with the spells, and when Dresden was doing spells, it didn't really feel like much. It didn't feel magical. It just, it was just like gibberish on the page, really. But I felt the complete opposite about the magical creatures that were introduced, the demon that is, set up on Dresden. They were quite cool. I loved, like I said, the vampire scene was the best scene. Learning about, you know, well, this we came across a particular vampire, and she was a fascinating character. I liked the creatures, and I think that was done well. But again, I'm just not really, feeling it regarding murder mysteries and thrillers right now. It's just really not my thing. So it is what it is. But yeah. Anyway, guys, let me guys know what you guys thought about Stormfront. Um, and don't forget to like the video, comment, subscribe, and again, consider becoming a Patreon to just support the channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.